Harry's Wife, Part 102.2, Gender Equality Roundtable. No, this isn't a new piece of furniture that Harry's wife's merching, although that wouldn't be a surprise, would it, if she was. Come and sit around your delightful Gender Equality Roundtable, where there's a pronoun for everybody who wishes to be here. No, it's time for another PR puff piece. Yes, it falls, of course, to this time it falls to, people.com. Yes, the wheel of PR puff pieces has been spun by whoever is advising them these days, and it sailed past Hello, past Town and Country, past by Tatler and Harper's Bazaar. Daily Mirror didn't get a look in. This time it's people.com that has received the cash advance and the obligation of pumping out a PR puff piece. But it becomes increasingly difficult for writers such as Stephanie Petit because, well, what is Harry's wife actually doing at the moment? Not a lot. She gave us the one tear at the funeral. She gave us the icy coldness, or rather towards Harry, as they exited St. George's Chapel at Windsor. She did the walkabout, but at the moment seems to be relatively quiet, apparently looking for a new house to purchase perhaps, and frantically trying to edit the Netflix broadcasts. But other than that, well, it's necessary, of course, to rely upon Old Faithful, called Bringing Up the Past, even if it is the recent past. Yes, as you know, prior to Queen Elizabeth very unhelpfully dying as far as Harry's wife would be concerned, at the beginning of September, interrupting the false royal tour, it behooves Harry's wife, after a slight stay in self-publicising her own events rather than piggybacking the funeral, for her to return to business. You'll recall that she made one of the most deathly dull industrial beige speeches ever witnessed at the One Young World Manchester Summit. And if you see parts pass him, I analysed, of course, that speech and behaviours and comments there to enable you to understand more about what her narcissism is actually doing. But of course, in order for her to continue to assert control and draw fuel and manage that facade, the PR people have to come up with something. And seeing as there's nothing really currently occurring other than things I just mentioned before, the narcissism by proxy has to bring up the past to control the now. And the headline is, Harry's wife and Prince Harry share new photos from Gender Equality Roundtable during UK visit. Yes, this is the equivalent of your neighbours going off to Torremolinos or Benidorm and coming back and boring you with a projector show, as it used to be the case, and now, of course, on your on their mobile phone, of saying, look, I've set up a YouTube channel with all of the photos and videos from our hilarious 7-day stay in Torremolinos. Do come round and enjoy a bottle of wine with us while I send you into a coma. Harry's wife is engaging in the same, albeit through people.com. Stephanie Petit writes, Harry's wife and Prince Harry's visit to the UK included a vital discussion, yes, absolutely vital, I think we're all agreed on that, on gender equality and inclusion, facade management, playing the woke card. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex travelled to Manchester, England earlier this month. Did they? It wasn't really publicised, for the One Young World Summit, where they participated in a round table with 8 delegates on the topic. The conversation was moderated by Irish writer, disability activist and fellow One Young World councillor Sinead Burke, who Harry's wife chose as one of the cover stars for British Vogue's Forces for Change issue when she guest edited the magazine in 2019. You may recall from Tom Bauer's Revenge that a separate team was set up to prepare the magazine and only to be told all their work was to be canned as they were a distraction for Harry's wife's attempts to guest edit it. Each of the delegates spoke about the social impact of their projects, from Swara Patel, talking about the impact of period poverty, to Shilpa Yalagada, who shared her approach to supporting women-led businesses. Harry's wife is often spotted sporting one of Yalagada's Chiffon Co. pinky rings. Oh, very well done, Harry's wife. Well done for buying a trinket from this particular person and showing it off. Gosh, that took a lot of effort, didn't it? Photos from the event were released on Friday. Photographer Miss Anne Harriman, who shot Harry's wife and Prince Harry's pregnancy photos while they were expecting daughter Lilibet Diana, got behind the camera to capture the event. And we see pictures of Harry's wife, Richard Scrin, wearing industrial beige, next to Harry, who's thinking, Christ, once upon a time, at this point in the day, I'd have probably be slamming back the vodka shots and having my face motorboated between some titties. Why, oh why did I do this? The report writes, it was a wonderful atmosphere earlier this year at the roundtable discussion about gender equality hosted by @OneYoungWorld in Manchester, Harriman wrote on his Instagram page. The photographer also shared a candid shot of the Duchess of Sussex hugging civil rights activist and humanitarian advocate Isra Shaker. And there's another picture of Harry and Harry's wife stood with a multiplicity of people who are engaged in their respective good works, and she's drinking up all of the character traits and facade management. The article continues. Participating in the roundtable discussion focused on inclusion, immigrant rights and gender equality with the Duke and Duchess of Sussex was an incredible experience, Shaker said. It was a privilege to have the opportunity to share my personal narrative. Well, you wouldn't be sharing anybody else's narrative, would you, other than your own, and the advocacy work I do in support of migrant communities. I'm grateful the Duke and Duchess of Sussex create spaces like this one to connect with activists, advocates, leaders creating positive social impact and change. Now, I'm sure Shaker actually gets down and is a mover and a shaker and actually does something rather than just talking about it. And we have a photograph of, yes, Harry's wife and Shaker enjoying a hug. That's all good facade management there. And, of course, the receipt of some fuel from possibly a tertiary or secondary source. This isn't the first time that Harry's wife brought Prince Harry, and I bet he's thinking, fucking hell, I wish it was, who she told Gloria Steinem was a feminist, with his balls in her handbag, to a discussion on gender equality. In October 2019, bringing up the past from 3 years ago now, the couple joined a roundtable hosted by the Queen's Commonwealth Trust and OneYoungWorld. As Harry's wife took her place at the 2019 event, she thanked the group for letting Harry crash the party. I'm sure Harry would have been quite happy to have been tucked up in bed, listening to Paddington Bear and enjoying a little bottle of warm milk. In terms of gender equality, which has been something I have championed for quite a long time, I think that conversation can't happen without men being part of it, Harry's wife said, apart from only when she allows it and when she spends nearly all of her time advocating for women and ignoring young men. But hey, there we are. And this is something that is also very key to the way my husband feels. I'm speaking for him, of course. He's not allowed a voice in these matters, and he has been working in this space since 2013, which a lot of people don't notice as much. But I do, because I've commandeered it by way of character trait acquisition. I think that's what's really important. You can't have a conversation about women's empowerment with just women, and so it seemed to make complete sense to let him join today. Or in other words, I need to make sure that he's here in order to keep him under control and keep an eye on him, otherwise he might wander off and do something despicable. Following the September the 5th round table, Harry's wife took to the stage to give the keynote speech at the OneYoungWorld Summit. And then, of course, we have the article repeating that speech. And I'm not going to bore you by going through it again, other than to say this is bringing up the past with regard to an industrial beige speech. And it just shows that she is so beige, she has to bring up the beige again. It's double beige. Harry's wife, 41, and Prince Harry, 38, travelled to Dusseldorf, Germany, following the OneYoungWorld Summit to kick off the countdown to the 2023 Invictus Games. They were set to attend the Well Child Awards, a charity with which Prince Harry has a long-standing relationship in London, September 8th, when Queen Elizabeth died. The couple stayed in the UK to attend services honouring Harry's grandmother, including a state funeral and committal service on September the 19th. Afterwards, they returned to California, where they've lived since 2020. Telling us things that we already knew that weren't that interesting to begin with, and all part of the regurgitation of the recent past in order to continue to ensure that Harry's wife remains in the news, as always, to seek the prime aims. She just will not stop. Such is the need to pursue them in such a public manner. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.